Today on our show, Nikki and Wrench drive a truck, Varga eats ice cream, and Winnie and Gloria give us all the feels. Hang on to your stussies, kids. We're talking about Fargo, Season 3, Episode 9, Aporia, with special guest Olivia Sandoval. Stay tuned.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AFTERBUZZ TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
Oh, it's been a little while since we opened with the theme.
Ooh, real upper, this theme.
Yeah.
We usually start off every show with an upper like this. This is great.
Nice and somber. We're gonna pull it together. Thank you for joining us again for the ABTV Fargo After Show. I am Lex Michael. I am all over social media at the Lex Michael, and with me, as always, are.
I'm Dave Child. You can find me at mrdavechild or davechild.com.
Oh, so exciting. I'm Tara Erickson. You guys can find me on youtube.com/Tara Erickson and Twitter at the Tara Erickson.
And ooh, we got a special guest.
Hey, hey.
Ooh, hey. Olivia, introduce yourself.
I'm Olivia Sandoval. I play Winnie Lopez on Fargo, and I'm not as cool on social media as you guys. I don't have all those things to just say, but just Sando here on Twitter if I want to plug that. Is that something I should do? Okay, just Sando here on Twitter. Thank you very much. I'm learning.
Yes.
Olivia, thank you. We are so excited that you are here.
So happy to be here.
We, if you are watching in the chat, hello to everybody. Please follow along in the conversation. Chime in as you will. If you are watching us later, join the conversation using the hashtag ABTV Fargo on Twitter. We are available wherever podcasts can be found. But go on to iTunes, like, subscribe, rate us 5 stars. You guys know I do literally need those 5-star reviews to continue my survival.
That's how he lives.
We don't have a name for this condition yet, but as always, I do hope that they name it after me once we can box that in.
Per the usual.
So, as we always do, I want to start right up top by getting everybody's general thoughts about this, the penultimate episode, which was pretty eventful. We got a bunch of revelations, some really exciting emotional stuff. I may or may not have rolled a tear at least once.
Oh my God, I did.
So, all right, let's open it up. General thoughts before we dive into the meat of the episode.
Olivia, I just want to know what you think.
Well, okay, I mean, to be perfectly frank, it's my favorite episode, I think, of the season. I mean, I haven't seen 10. I've been saving it. You know, I want it to be, I want to experience kind of it with the public, you know.
Yeah.
But it is my favorite episode of the season for, it's just all of these amazing scenes of two people talking in a room.
Yeah.
And the way Keith directed it, it's like he made that look so beautiful.
Right.
I mean, and it's so emotional, and as performers, it really did feel like a climactic moment. You know, we had been working with each other for 3 months at that point, and, you know, there were all these scenes where we got to say the things that we've been wanting to say for so long, and it was incredibly satisfying. I loved it, and I think that Ewan, especially in this episode, just knocks it out of the park. And Carrie is just incredible. I mean, she's incredible.
Yeah, I mean, it's an incredible show. All the acting is really great.
Thank you.
But it's just amazing to see this cast that's just like powerhouses after powerhouse, and everyone just really capturing something. It's just why I love the show so much, is because it has an emotional connection with every single episode that's really just heavy and deep.
Yes, I mean, talk about a murderer's row of talent. We've been talking multiple times on this show, week after week after week, about how every time it feels like the show cannot sustain one more powerhouse character actor. Suddenly, here comes somebody else, and the show flips again. And it's very cool to see, because I feel like you don't see cast this stacked on television that often.
I mean, you're telling me, I'm like, who knows? No one knows who I am, and like, I you know, and I walk on the set, and it's just like I keep having this feeling of being like, are you sure you meant this, Olivia Sandoval? Because you know, like, you want to check that email that you sent to make sure that I really do get to do this. I mean, it's amazing. I mean, like, even like DJ Qualls coming in for like a badass roundhouse kick and running around the woods. I mean, and he's such an incredible, and he's an amazing person, by the way, just the coolest guy ever. I mean, so the fact that so many consummate actors are on the show for 1 episode, 2 episodes, the fact that I got to stick around as long as I did is just like, when are they going to take it all away? When are they going to figure me out?
Yeah.
How did you become a part of the Fargo universe?
Just old-fashioned way. I auditioned. I mean, it really broke all the rules that I've been working pavement for like 5-6 years, you know, just doing my job out there, audition, get very used to rejection. And it, you know, normally when I got close to booking things in the past, there would be this whole song and dance that went along with it. Like, you know, there's chemistry tests, and then you go producers meeting, and then there's callback after callback after callback. And in this case, it was like one audition, great audition, 6 weeks went by, I didn't hear anything. I'd completely let it go. I just thought, wow, I'm so lucky I got to go in for that. Maybe they'll call me in for something else sometime. And then I got the call back, and then I got the call that I booked it. I didn't even meet Noah until several weeks into shooting.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean,
That's
it was
great.
it broke all the rules. I mean, lucky me.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So okay, well, you got them?
No, it's okay. I was just going to talk about how, so this is the penultimate episode.
Yes.
We got another episode on the way. Have you read the script to 10?
Yes, I do know what happens. I will
Okay.
clarify. I do know. Carrie's joke that she always says is it does end. It is a finale.
does
It does end. But I've been saving kind of the experience of watching it.
Right.
I want to save that for Wednesday at 10 o'clock.
I guess the bittersweetness of this is that it is a story that does come to an end at the end of the season.
Yeah.
So it's next season is a whole nother story.
Yeah.
Have you brought up to Noah, then
How you
maybe
can
the
sneak in
story
there.
should revolve around Winnie.
I'm way too I'm way too sheepish to do that. But I do talk about it amongst the cast. I mean, Carrie and I always had a joke that we're like Starsky and Hutch, man.
Yeah.
We're like Rizzoli and Isles. One time she said, I think we're Turner and Hooch, but you're Tom Hanks. Which I appreciated. It's very flattering to be Tom Hanks. It's a good looking dog, I mean, it is. But no, I mean, listen, if there was any way to continue this world, I would just feel so insanely lucky, but I'm incredibly happy and grateful to have the experience that I did. I feel like I can die happy. Is that dramatic?
Yeah, no, it's good. No,
but
it's
it
not.
is kind of how it feels. It really is.
I feel you, girl.
Yeah.
Well, I hope
100%.
that's in a very distant future.
Oh yes.
But
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It's good to know that, you'll feel happy when it happens. When you
This took a turn.
When your intro to before we move on to this episode,
Yes.
I just want to talk about a little bit about the previous episodes, because your intro into the show is really kind of fun and dynamic, and it feels like you come in as the complete opposite of Gloria.
Yeah.
So I just want to know your thoughts about how you got introduced to the show, how your character got introduced by in the bathroom, for instance.
Yeah.
And just what sort of energy you tried to add to the cast.
Well, I think that Winnie is absolutely unapologetically optimistic, which is a really important aspect to her character and a really interesting device to be against Gloria's personality, who's, she's fed up. She's gone through a bunch of stuff. She's gone through a divorce. She's a single parent now, essentially. She's overlooked and underappreciated, and she's being demoted. She's being displaced, and, she feels invisible. And then, literally with a bang, just kind of like kicking the door open, this like wave of positive energy comes in, which, even if it immediately doesn't affect or change her, it pushes her on this path. And then they ultimately go on that path together of this sort of righteous, relentless pursuit of truth. Because you can't be on that pursuit with nothing but kind of heaviness,
Right.
So Winnie comes in and just sort of lightens it up in a way that they can actually get some work done, they can get to people. So it was very exciting to do that, and Carrie's just amazing to play with.
It has been really cool to see so far how your characters have complemented each other so well, both professionally and personally.
Yeah.
Which I mean, it pays off in such a beautiful way in episode 9. And I want to jump in. I'm so eager to jump into episode 9 and talk about it. But right up top, we talk about what the titles mean to all of these episodes. So I looked this one up. Dave, I don't know if you did as well.
I did too.
So the definition of aporia, and it feels like right perfectly on the nose for this particular show, it is an irresolvable internal contradiction or logical disjunction in a text, argument, or theory.
Yeah. So
Oh man, no one knows how to write. It's really good.
yeah, it's just the question of always having that contradict, and the way the narrative is, and it never having a firm distinction seems to be a big theme of the Fargo, of this season of Fargo. And I feel like this episode really showed it itself, the narrative that Varga kind of starts to spin, and how Sheriff Moe, who's the worst, I think he's the real villain of the whole.
Just so ready to be done.
And how he just falls into it, but also where Gloria is, and how she sees herself is a contradiction in a lot of ways.
Yeah, we've been talking about that all season.
Yeah, and how she's someone who you're kind of Winnie's the kind of the complete opposite. Sorry if I refer to you as your
Please,
character.
I love it. It's great.
But okay, because Winnie's the complete opposite. Seems to be very, knows who she is and very very loud and very present, while Gloria is almost invisible because she doesn't quite know where she is. She's in between worlds. And now we're seeing her define herself in these last couple of episodes. And I feel like that plays. I'm jumping way ahead to the big scene that I think we're all thinking of.
Yes.
Because you kind of give her, you kind of solidify her into the world, which is was emotionally, but also kind of physically. Because yeah.
No, absolutely. And I think that a big part of Gloria's character is that, you know, she's a little closed off and she's afraid of, you know, being touched both by, you know, someone emotionally and just physically. So that hug is really just like, hey, you exist.
Yes.
You exist. And I care about you. And, you know, I mean, how many times have we tried, you know, we've been in a situation with a friend who's in a crisis and we try and talk them into feeling better, and it doesn't do nearly as much as a moment of true intimacy.
Right.
You know, so it's like, and people are sort of afraid of Gloria in a way. I think, you know, they're a little bit, I mean, like Damek's obviously not afraid of Gloria, but he, in a way that's not nurturing to her. But, you know, her son's a little distant, and then she just had this horrible tragedy with, I mean, you know, she needs someone to come in and connect with her and to remind her of her value.
Yeah, and just see her.
Yeah. Simple as that.
Well, and the scene was absolutely beautiful, and when you poke her in the arm, and then you fully embrace her, and it is so clear what this moment means. And I'm watching the scene, and I'm going, oh. And then you see her go into the bathroom, and I think in a season where all season long we've been dealing with these this concept of stories versus reality versus differing versions of reality versus what we internalize and how that affects what we perceive reality to be, you really did. You hugged existence into her, and she internalized it in such a way that it literally made it real. And then I was going, all right, just a mess of
Love made her real. Love made her real.
Because we thought her invisibility would like be a pro for her and like get her somewhere, but really it was your hug that brought her into existence that is now going to bring her into the season finale, which I thought it was her staying invisible. But now since episode 9, where it's like, oh, she realizes she exists, and that smile at the end in the mirror, I was crying. Like, literally, I was bawling and was like,
I know that smile in the mirror is such a beautiful moment, and it's just, she nails it so much. I cried. I totally cried, and I'm in the scene. Which is that weird to cry? But no, I mean, Carrie's performance is extraordinary. You know, and I think that this has been a dark season, right? It's been a dark season. I'd go as far to say darker than the other seasons. I mean, not nearly as high of a body count, but very bleak.
Feels very somber.
Subject matter. Yeah. So to have this scene coming in that kind of reminds you that there is goodness and it is worth fighting for the goodness in the world was really beautiful. And you know, interesting thing about that scene is that it wasn't in the original script, the first draft that we got. So they wrote it after Carrie and I had been working together for a while. And I don't know why they wrote it, but it did feel like they were observing this friendship that was building between Gloria and Winnie was becoming, you know, and also Carrie and I just have a lot of it's great chemistry. She's just, we immediately clicked when we started working with each other. And so all of a sudden we had got a new draft and there was this new scene, and Carrie immediately texted me, "Did you see our scene?" And I think I said to her, I said, "Okay, I'm officially not afraid of being fired. I think I'm going to make it to the end of this thing."
Yeah, which I was glad to see, because I was actually a little afraid for your character's life at a few points.
I hear you, dude. As soon as you know, because we were all like on the edge of our seat waiting for scripts to come in.
Right.
Because they came in very, you know, it was very all happening at the same time. So we were just fans, the actors waiting. Did you see 8? Did you see 9? You know?
Yeah.
And as soon as I, you know, read Winnie, and she's so likable, I went, ooh.
Yeah, we've been talking again all season, or certainly since your introduction, about in a season that is this somber, Winnie seems almost too pure and good and bright for this world, and so every episode we're going like, something's gonna happen to her, isn't it?
Yeah, I the same thing when I got all the scripts. I was like, am I dead? Oh no, good, okay. You
know? also, it's because Gloria is like invisible, so she's able to kind of sneak around Varga, but you're very much not invisible. You're just like, hi! And so I thought that kind of made you doomed, because you became like a...
Well, we've got one more episode, so no spoilers. Yeah.
Okay.
Hey.
Anything can happen in Fargo. That is something I learned.
I do have to tell you, by the way, I was delighted to see, because I go to the Fargo Reddit group before each one of these shows, just to kind of research and see what other people were thinking. And they changed the name of the group. It used to be called just Fargo FX, and then it got changed to I Can Help after the little robot. But this week it got changed again, so the title of the current Reddit Fargo group is Thank God for KY.
No.
Yes.
Are you
You're
kidding?
lying, Boo-Boo.
Go to Reddit and look up Fargo, and it's called Thank
That's
God
great.
for KY.
I'm so proud.
Which I was like, oh yeah. And it was such a great moment. It was such a great line, and also that whole like, I was glad to see you kind of bring that back because that's how we met you.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. She gets some good comedic Winnie moments where, because they're on the hunt for a while, and obviously that takes priority. So yeah, that was super fun. There was one line that it was in a scene that ended up getting cut out that I really liked that I'll say now just because it's fun to say. It was just, well, I'm gonna go home and see if Jerry's got his semen cone up.
I love it.
That was a good one. That was
That's
a good
great.
Cone?
Yeah.
It's cone shaped.
Semen
right.
count.
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 Okay.
Count.
Not the semen
No.
cone.
Oh
Weird
my
thing
goodness,
to
Mr.
call
Dave
it.
Child.
It's cone.
Can't look at that semen cone one more time.
Oh, wow.
What are we talking about?
So, okay.
Nobody ever knows.
All right.
Okay, so let's climb up to the top of this
Yeah.
episode again,
Yeah,
and let's
yeah.
work our way through it because we have so many beautifully executed sequences, some wonderful
Right.
performance moments, and in a season that has been very somber, we actually get a couple of genuine fist pump moments this episode, and I want to make sure that we get to all of it. So we open with a couple of additional Stussy murders.
Yeah, I do have to say, opening up on sprinklers in winter, on ice, on like a porch that is already a lawn that is already covered in snow, and then you see the sprinklers, and then the guy picks it up and doesn't even turn off the sprinklers or anything. He's just like, nah, it's just life.
Yeah.
That showed. I thought that was very Midwestern, but in that kind of way that they're kind of like, I'm not going to deal with that. I'm not going to put in the effort to actually turn off the sprinklers and actually make it work. It was just a nice little moment to start off with. And then with the Marvin Stussy murder, that also made sure we establish it's still 2011.
Yes.
This wasn't a flashback or anything. And with the glass in the neck, I just immediately knew that it was like, he's building a narrative.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's building that narrative. He's making that serial killer narrative kind of happen.
And we also get that beautiful shot of the blood mixing in with the milk. And
The
of course,
milk,
the very
yeah.
first thing that I thought of was Yuri talking about the blood in the snow.
Yep.
Wow.
What?
Yeah.
That's genius. That's
Yeah.
really good.
I
didn't even think of that.
Yeah, it's Noah Hawley, really. But yeah.
Yeah, that's the first thing I thought of. And then, of course, we get the other murder, which is meant to emulate the murder of Ennis, where we've got
Yeah.
the mouth and the nose glued shut
And
as
even
well.
oh god, that murder. Can we talk about Mo, Sheriff Mo, when he enters in, and we immediately see Donnie being a good boy.
Yes.
And he puts on his booties like a good cop should. And then the first thing Sheriff Mo does is like, see the booties, doesn't care, walks in. I'm like,
He's the worst.
oh, he is
is.
the worst.
Also, I mean, like, when he says, like, this guy must really hate Stussies,
Stussies,
I was like, you are such an idiot.
Yeah.
and don't try to make it. Now he's making it about him.
Of
Now he's
course,
like,
he thinks
"I
he, like,
figured
won
it out."
everything. He's such a jerk. I hate him so much.
But so we've got these murders that are meant to represent or emulate the murders that we've seen previously. And, of course, Varga and his people have gone so far as to set up a patsy who confesses to everything. And yeah, like we're saying, like Mo is completely ready to just wash his hands of the whole thing. We're done. It's over.
Yeah.
Case closed, right? Right?
No.
Right?
No.
Right?
But before that, we have Emmett, who came in and admitted to the wrongdoing. Has this beautiful scene.
Scene is so
Yes.
gorgeous.
It's also great to see the way they shot it, where there's infinite mirrors on either side of him. So you saw his doubles and Gloria's doubles, but you saw his doubles as he's talking about the murder of his basically twin brother.
Yes.
Just broke my heart, his performance in that scene.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah, he was
broke
great.
my heart.
Yes, and
Yeah.
he talks about how he didn't necessarily trick his brother, but essentially knowingly manipulated his brother into
Yeah.
trading the car for the stamps.
Right.
And he talks about essentially we get to the point in the scene where he's got that line about how he's been killing his brother for
30
years,
30
and he
years.
just finally dropped. That, by the way, was the first moment where I went, oh, this is I'm gonna cry this episode. This is
Yeah.
gonna do it. It's gonna happen.
And there's also great moments in that one scene in the writing and the way it's shot, where they talk about he talks about his dad's death
Yes.
in a way where it blends so much into where he's still talking about, are you talking about your brother?
Well,
or
he
your
said,
dad?
I killed him, and Gloria has that moment of, do you mean your father?
Do you mean your dad? It was like, no, my brother. But he was definitely admitting that he feels guilty all the way back to his dad.
Yeah, we see this kind of Shakespearean story, the origin of it, and these years of this sibling rivalry that is so rooted in grief. It's just an amazing scene, and the writing, and it's just exquisite, and so lonely, such solitude.
So
in that,
lonely.
even though you see their doubles, it's just like they feel like it's like you're watching the only two people on the planet.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
And watching Emmett try and grapple with what he's done, and of course realizing too at the same time he's dealing with his own guilt, his inner turmoil. He knows too he has to warn Gloria specifically, if anybody comes to this precinct, they say they're my representation, anybody, do not let them
Don't believe them.
near me.
Yeah.
Yes.
And also his line, the greatest trick the devil ever pulled was convincing the world he didn't exist.
Yeah.
I was like, oh yeah, Varga.
No, that's Varga.
That also, was that intentionally a Usual Suspects reference?
Well, there was.
It's a quote. It was written, and I set myself up, and I have no idea who the quote is
I don't-
from. But
I
it's
don't
like
either.
from history.
It's a history.
It's a
quote.
history.
The only place I've honestly I think I've ever heard that is Usual Suspects. Kevin Spacey in Usual Suspects.
I mean, it's one of those that you always say. I think it's like what grandmas say. It's
Well, it's also the same thing. He also had another one, like, a lie's not a lie if you believe it's true.
Yes.
And that's also another, that's not like
History
him.
quotes.
Yeah, it's history quotes brought to you by Fargo.
when you forget where it's from.
Noah reads books, is my point.
Hashtag Noah reads books.
Yeah.
He's a smart boy.
But that line too, that question of, is this something that you can believe? Like, is a lie really a lie if you yourself believe it? And I think,
Right.
of course,
Right.
we've been following that thematic thread all season long about the
Yeah.
stories we tell ourselves and how, again, that does dictate what our preferred version of reality is.
Right. This is a
Yeah.
true story. It's the theme of the whole dang show, right?
Yeah. But,
Synthesized.
But
Yeah.
the true story fading away to just, it's a story.
Yeah.
So that's why, just to jump ahead a little bit, that's why I loved when Gloria was like, I don't feel like I'm real. I'm like, no, you're not real. You're a fictional character in a story. And it became like, I had like a brain opening up, seeing the Matrix lines moment after she said that. But also we get in that scene back with Emmett when Gloria brings up Varga. And just like, do you want to
yeah.
admit about Varga? And just that
won't.
horrific, the teeth over his, like, and when he thinks to Varga, all he can see are those teeth
I
gnashing.
can't.
Yes,
The wolf.
Gross.
The wolf just chewing him up. Because that's another thing we've been talking about. The
Peter and the Wolf
Peter
analog.
and the Wolf story has been very important to us.
Yeah.
Every single episode. We're like, this means this means this.
Yeah.
But this is playing this whole episode kind of played against that a little bit. Which was
in a
good to
sense.
see. Because I thought the Peter and the Wolf story was laying out the rest of the season. I thought it was going to be Gloria taking Emmett and in using Emmett like Peter uses the bird in the Peter and Wolf story to draw out the wolf and then eventually kill the wolf. And that could end up happening next episode. And don't tell us if it does, but it could end up happening. But right now it seems to be playing against that theory where it's like, oh, maybe they're twisting it up because right now the cat is a lot more involved than she is in the Peter and the Wolf story.
So to your point, we have this little scene where Varga sends Mimo essentially to what I assumed we were building into like an assault on Precinct 13 type sequence.
Right.
But in fact, the truck doesn't get all that far before Nikki and Wrench take the thing using a paperweight.
Right.
Which is about the dang coolest thing
So
I think maybe
so
I've ever
cool.
seen.
Nikki Swango is the coolest character
She sure is.
I've
Yeah.
ever heard of.
Yeah.
And Mary is so badass as this. It's like she was born to play this part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Swango.
The Swango.
Swango.
Good old
In this
Swango.
episode, I feel like she's become the Swango.
The Swango. Yeah, no,
like
this is
100% swang.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A
Totally.
full-on swang.
swing
Yeah.
it to the left.
Hey, hey.
So they jack the truck, they drive it to what looks like a scrapyard, and they go through Varga's office / sometimes house. and they retrieve all of these documents, these files, the flash drive, and Nikki calls him, and the tables have completely flipped now, because now we're in a position where we can actually blackmail the master manipulator.
Yeah.
Right.
And watching, again, like you say, full swang, like watching Nikki fully step into
Really
it,
swang it out.
just swanging so dang hard left and right all day, is incredibly cool to see, because all season long, everybody has been completely powerless in front of VM Varga.
Yeah. It's also nice because Wrench has been the only character who's been in all three seasons. of
That's
Fargo.
true. Yes.
And we always saw Wrench with Numbers, but Numbers died in the very first season. And even though in the second season we see them as kids, they're always like a duo, and you always felt like he really lost his second half. And now he's got a new Numbers. It's the Swango.
Well, and every season too, and every iteration of Fargo, the movie included, there's been a team of, they're not always hitmen necessarily, but a team of criminals, some very interesting character type criminals that we track. And I think it's great that just as one duo this season is broken up, we don't know where Yuri is still.
Yeah.
Right.
Now suddenly Wrench has a new buddy, and we've got another criminal duo that we can track.
Kind of like you need that magical pair in order to. And also the duo of Emmett and Sia was broken up as well.
Yeah.
And it seemed like the only duos that are left are Nikki and Wrench, and also Gloria and Winnie.
Yep.
So way to stick around.
I know, right? And it's so interesting too, because there's so many bad guys. You can't keep, but you've got bad guys that you root for, and bad guys that you, even if you may not root for them, but you're still intrigued by them. And that's what I like. You've got Nikki and Wrench are kind of like the bad guys, good guys.
Yeah.
And then you've got the bad guys that are also
Right.
good guys.
Right.
There's something kind of very boyish and good about Mimo, even though he's a horribly violent
I
person.
know,
You kind
right?
of like him, and he's like stabbing people.
Well,
Doesn't make
he's a
sense.
walking iPod ad. And you
I
kinda-
know,
Yeah.
I know.
In this episode, he had actually lines. Like, he has not spoken in like most of all the episodes. He said one word, and when he started talking, I was like, Mimo speaks.
He speaks.
Because he had like a good 3 lines, and I was like, yeah,
Right.
Mimo, get it, do some talking.
Yeah.
I like when he dances.
Well, you get that kind of, not to go too D&D with this, but you also have the chaotic good, the chaotic neutral.
Yes.
The what are they? They're like,
I don't know the
I
alignment
just know
chart. I don't
chaotic
know.
good, chaotic neutral, and then there's the not chaotic good and the not chaotic neutral.
It's like lawful, I think it is.
Lawful, I think
it's like lawful,
someone's-
neutral, chaotic, I think.
Yeah, someone's gonna correct, and you get all shades of that in the Fargo cast, because you would say maybe Nikki and Wrench are the chaotic good, or maybe chaotic neutral. They might be neutral because they're kind of on both sides. Anyways,
He's getting
I don't know
deep.
enough about that to
Mr.
write
Dave
a
Child.
thesis about it. So let's move on.
That was very impressive. I didn't understand a word, but that was very impressive.
Nobody ever does.
He's great like that. So we get a scene where Nikki sets up a time and place to meet with VM Varga, and the
Right.
two of them meet in this lobby, and this scene. Okay, so we're gonna get money. We're gonna get $2 million from VM Varga.
Yeah.
Or we've got all this information on you. We're going to turn it over to the proper authorities.
Yeah.
And Varga thinks he's thought 12 steps ahead of his opponents, and he's dressed perfectly to match everybody in the lobby. He's got Mimo positioned with a rifle. He's got 2 plans. His first plan is, I'm going to maybe try and poison you with this tea, like I did Sai, and when she doesn't go for it very smartly, I'm going to offer you a job. And this whole scene was incredibly, incredibly tense, but I almost, in a way, for the very first time, and I never thought this would be possible, almost felt a little pity
Felt a little
for
bit
Varga.
bad for
I
him,
know,
right?
isn't that
Little bit of pity.
interesting?
Yes.
It's so interesting how that happens, and I love the way that Nikki Swango is really functioning. She's benefiting so much from how much people underestimate her. Not dissimilar to Gloria and Winnie. Like they get to kind of fly under the radar because people don't take them seriously. And like here's this criminal mastermind we've come to learn, and he's being outsmarted by this foxy lady. It's
Yeah, hey,
amazing.
hey.
Hey.
Well, one thing that's great about, I think, David Thewlis is like, he just seems vulnerable, even though he's the most.
Even though he's just evil, man.
Yeah, but at the same time, his because you know that he's hurting himself.
Yeah.
Right.
The whole thing, because the bulimia.
He has a disease. I mean, he's suffering. He's not a happy man. I would go.
When
not
we
a
see
happy
him
man.
alone in that bathroom
Oh
stall,
my God, pounding
eating the ice
Rocky
cream,
Road?
That was incredibly
Oh my
sad.
God.
So relatable. I mean, for
It was
me, I
hilarious.
was like, we've all
I was
been
like,
there.
yes,
you
right?
know?
We've all been on toilets eating.
He's a
Eating
human-
Rocky Road.
Because he's been kind of like an alien or like
Yeah.
someone from another planet, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, this is a human being.
Yeah.
He's a human being.
He's
Going
Rocky
through
Road.
it. My favorite part of that scene, though, was when Nikki was like, I want to look you in the face and rip out something you love. I was like, yes, rip his face off.
And then Varga tells her, oh, but it's not, I didn't kill Ray.
Right.
That was Emmett. And that's interesting because that seems like something that maybe Nikki had not necessarily considered
Yeah.
previously.
Well, I feel like she considered it because she immediately responded like, yeah, but you were the one that flipped the bus. You were the one that did this. You were the one that did this. You are instrumental in everything that's been going badly. And I think she already did her revenge on Ray. Do we think that she was the reason that the stamps were there and the car was there in the previous episode? Or do we still think that was... Do we think that was Varga?
Oh, like sending him more into psychosis.
Yeah, was driving him insane. Dude,
Yeah.
I feel like you know.
She knows,
I don't know if I know because I'm not inside the genius mind of Noah Hawley, but I have a strong opinion.
Okay.
I think it's Nikki.
Yeah, I think it's
I
Nikki
think it's
too.
Nikki.
Yeah.
That's what I thought as well, because I think that she's showed that she's the strategy side of the bridge partnership.
Yeah.
For one.
Absolutely.
And what I love about that Varga and Nikki scene was it was kind of the chess player versus the bridge player. And the bridge player
Yes.
kind of ends up winning.
Yeah.
And there's also something interesting that's happened with Swango where after they have that amazing scene in the bowling alley, which is sort of, purgatory, the afterlife, hell, take your pick,
Exactly.
she goes to that place and then gets to leave, and I think she leaves changed somehow. And so she leaves, wielding this power, to do kind of semi-impossible things like change all of someone's pictures in their office overnight or put a mustache on their face while they're sleeping. I think she's almost touched the supernatural.
Yes.
This is me being a fan opinion
I
completely.
think that
Yeah.
might be true. I love that opinion.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
I think there's something to that, and I definitely think that this week, just watching how crazy, especially when partnered with Wrench, how crazily efficient they take care of business.
Yeah.
I think before these last two episodes, if you had showed me the same scenario with the frames, I would have said, "Nah, I don't know."
I wasn't quite sure.
But now I can absolutely buy that.
And especially because she said, I already got a job blackmailing you. I was
Yes.
like, dang, girl, you real good at that blackmail. Like, I'm like, it might have been on Emmett as well.
Well, and
Swango.
again, she is able to see steps ahead of even Varga. They
Yeah.
knew where Mimo would likely be positioned with a rifle, and they had Wrench up there ready to force him to stand down, which they do. And then, of course, that shot when they leave together. She says she's going to give Varga 24 hours, and the shot of the two of them walking out together is just so dang cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that song is good. I Shazammed it. I don't remember what it is. I'll write it in the chat
I
later.
found it too.
So good.
I think I actually had it up here.
I'm
it
like-
was Youngbloods.
Yeah.
Here it is, actually.
When
It
I leave
was
here, I'm blasting that out of my vehicle.
Brooklyn by the Youngblood Brass
So
Band.
good.
Brass Band.
There you go.
It's so good.
So good.
So good.
So back at the police station, someone does show up in reference to Emmett, but it is not who anyone was expecting. It's
no.
Mary McDonnell, again returning as the Widow Goldfarb,
Yeah.
who seems a little confused maybe about what time Emmett actually showed up at the restaurant.
Right.
Right.
I just believe she's in on it now.
I think
Like,
so too. I also think that's where the Aporia comes in because she says when it rains it pours, and Gloria says well sometimes it drizzles, and like a penny saved is a penny earned. That's like Aporia,
Yeah.
right? That's like the contradiction of like you can't really prove all that stuff. Like it's a living
Right. And
Or
also
like
the way that she says, like, it's a saying, which is funny
right.
because that's
It's
what
so
we've been doing.
yeah.
Which is just like, you can't just say it's a saying. And also, like, it has a penny earned, when it rains, it drizzles, and compared to when it rains, it pours, compared to a penny saved or penny earned.
It's
they have
not.
nothing to do with
I
each
know,
other.
not
Yeah.
at all.
Yeah.
But
They're not saying the same thing.
I have a feeling she might be at like the top.
Do you think she's like,
I
with
feel
Varga?
like it could be something weird where Varga is always steps ahead and she may be a player on the outside with him.
Yeah, we do
I'm
have
not-
people
I'm-
in the chat.
I'm not
agreeing with
positive,
you,
but
by the way.
really, I haven't even looked at the chat, you guys. I'm on your side. I do kind of think that. I sense that. And I'm like, her vibe when she was leaving, I'm like, she might be a top dog because there was some line that was referred to her. I don't remember it right now, but that just made me think, yeah, you might be at the top, above. Everybody has a boss, and I feel like she may be running the whole show.
Right.
I feel like maybe the most innocent explanation for her behavior, too, as to why she would try and stick to giving Emmett an alibi despite his confession.
I agree.
Is that she doesn't want to do anything that might jeopardize the smooth transition of his company to her.
She's a
Right.
fierce
Right.
businesswoman
Yes.
with nothing else.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, Melody Stokel, sorry if I'm saying her name wrong, is so with this. She's just going, yep, yeah!
Yeah!
With every single thing. It's great.
And she also, Goldfarb also said sometimes the mind plays tricks. And she's
Yes.
like, that's another saying. And I'm like, dude, you with your sayings.
It
But
is a little bit, it's very Varga-y.
she's laying it on thick, right? I'm like, yeah, it's a Varga thing to do, I feel like. Yeah.
I just had this thought, and it's really kind
what's your
of
thought?
out of nowhere, but because I was thinking of the blood with the snow.
Yes.
And how that seems to be a running thing. And one of the questions we've been getting is like, hey, what's with the menstruation line that keeps happening?
Oh, right. Yeah.
And I just had a thought where it might be in a way it could be this land is established by blood in the land and in the snow. It's just the blood of women. It's just the blood of menstruation. You know, it could be
The
almost
life-giving.
linked- the life-giving blood,
Right.
Yeah.
rather than the blood of chaos and war. There's another side of blood too, which is almost like a life-giving blood.
I think that's very astute of you.
And
I
it's
hadn't
kinda-
thought of that, but I think that's quite astute.
Could
I'm
be the
picturing your
balance.
TED Talk
You
now.
finally
Yeah.
become a
Dave
student.
Child, it's just the
Listen.
blood of menstruation.
Please see my
Oh,
menstruation
God, I'm
talk.
making a T-shirt.
I get to teach.
I'd watch that, you know?
Oh,
It's the blood
importance.
of women.
Yeah, and also and the reason why I'm maybe thinking about that, because if it does turn out to be the Widow Goldfarb, which I just love saying the Widow Goldfarb so
Yeah.
much, being kind of either the boss behind Varga,
Yeah.
it would almost strengthen that side where there is also like the women. I'm watching a lot of Kimmy Schmidt now, so
Yeah.
they're unbreakable, they're strong as hell. So it could be that side, or that could be a twist that kind of happens in the next episode. So
Tune in.
Yeah, and
looking forward to it.
even if that doesn't turn out to be the case, again, the most innocent explanation still involves her being totally cool with murder as long as she gets this company.
Yeah.
I do
Totally.
want to mention Varga's line when Emmett comes back out and sits in the car.
Yes, because I think that really gets to the heart of what maybe every iteration of Fargo has been about. But so, okay,
Yeah.
we've got our Patsy who's confessing to these murders. Mo is totally cool with it. He's got the double alibi, so even with Emmett's confession, Gloria has no choice but to turn him loose. And of course, and my stomach dropped out when they walk out of that police station, and it's Mimo waiting for him outside the car.
Smile, man,
the
like
smirk.
burn.
Oh no, it's just and that kind of like, you know, dead man walking thing he does to the car
And Mimo
getting
doesn't
back.
even look at him.
Oh man, and then the way that it goes without saying that David is just an insanely, tremendously gifted, brilliant, genius actor, and I
Yeah.
can watch him do anything, anytime, anywhere.
Yeah.
And particular the way that he delivers that line, the way it kind of hangs at the end. You know, he ends it and he kind of is like, eh.
Yes.
And then
Yeah.
it's just like, you're like, it's so unsettling.
Yeah.
It's so unsettling.
The line, of course, being, the problem is not that there is evil in the world, the problem is that there is good, because otherwise, who would care?
Because it ends in this question, this rhetoric question, but because it ends in this question, it doesn't look like he's proud of that fact. It looks like he's just he's cursed by it as much as we are.
It's like, this is the way of the world. It's not, I didn't make the rules, you know?
Yeah, it's just
Yeah.
like-
It goes back to
Ugh.
his inescapable reality that he was so fond of referring to.
Yeah, and it also makes him kind of not lovable but vulnerable, and you're able to kind of find that, like, because he feels like, doesn't it suck that I have to do this?
Well, yeah, and it goes back to when, you know, one of the first encounters that he has with Emmett, he's like, you're trapped, you know, that whole thing.
Yeah.
And you wonder, who trapped Vargo? How did he get here? You know, he talks about his childhood, like, I think there's one line where he talks about his childhood about
Right.
being in the servants' quarters or something to that effect, you know, and you just, I mean, boy, would I love to see a, you know, backstory on that character. Ooh, man.
Yeah.
Rough.
Oof.
Yeah, we even see like the backstory of Yuri a little bit, but not.
Yeah,
really
we get more about him than we do about Varga.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is
Yeah.
interesting,
Yeah.
considering he's now stuck in purgatory. We're not sure where he is, and could he come back in next episode? We're not too sure.
Well, and
Yeah.
we also see too the note we end the episode on is apparently he didn't pay up in time because they Nikki and Wrench handed over these documents and a flash drive to our returning IRS agent played by Hamish Linklater.
Yes.
Yeah.
So of course Varga, unbeknownst to him, ends the episode on a note where he, for the first time maybe, is no longer invisible.
He's very apparent.
Yes.
Exposed.
Perfect.
Exposed.
Exposed.
Yes.
That's what I was looking for. We have Hollow the Hogan Johnson on the chat. Just says Olivia Sandoval.
Is that like?
I guess that must
Hello.
be it. So there you go. You got fans. I do want to talk about a little bit. The music on the show is so great.
Yes.
Which segues me nicely into asking about your music.
I do. Yes, I play in a band called Whiskey Sunday. We are Irish Americana. That's what we do. We're
Awesome.
a scrappy little LA Irish pub band. We play all over. I think we've had like 107 gigs in the last year or something crazy like that. And, you know, it's great. Patrick Rieger, lead singer. We met in the theater company. He's an actor as well. And I play upright bass. And he was looking for an upright bass player. And we happened to be working box office. And he was like, oh. And again, like we talked a little bit before this about people's minds are kind of blown. Like, oh my gosh, you're a lady bass player?
How'd you hold that up?
You know, and I think Patrick, I mean this, I don't mean this in a negative way at all, was like, you know, red lipstick and stand-up bass. How can I make this work for me? And then we actually have, you know, and then she's like, oh, and she can play her instrument. I'm just kidding. I'm taking the piss. I'm taking the piss out of Patrick.
I'm actually, now that you say Whiskey Sunday, did you guys play on St. Patrick's Day this year in Los Feliz at that bar?
At the Tam O'Shanter?
Yeah.
We play there once a month. And
Oh,
yes,
hey girl, I saw you. You real good.
I did
No joke.
play.
I love the band. Now
you
it just
so much.
all came rushing back to me.
That's one
you
of
guys
our,
are great.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's one of our favorite. That's like our home away from home. And it's one of
Yeah.
our favorite shows to play. I missed it this year, unfortunately.
okay, yeah.
Because I was shooting Fargo,
Oh,
which is like the
right.
only reason I
that's
would
better.
miss
Yeah.
St. Patrick's Day,
Yeah.
because it is so fun. It's like you're the Rolling. I mean, being an Irish band on St. Patrick's
It's-
Day.
oh my gosh, you're the
like,
Rolling Stones.
for a day.
Yeah.
You know, everyone is like focused right on you. It's amazing. You get kind of a big head. You're like, I'm a star. You
Yeah.
know?
You guys have to go and see it because like people will start dancing. They know the
It's
Irish
fun.
jigs.
It's
I mean,
super fun. And we
it's
have
legit.
we have a show this Friday, tomorrow,
where?
in fact, at Ireland's 32.
Oh yeah, Ireland's 32. Yeah, in the Valley.
Yeah, in the Valley.
That's great.
That's our other
Nice.
residency. We play there usually the third Friday of every month. So that's a fun gig. It's really long. It's like 9:30 to 1:30 a.m.
Yeah.
And it's super casual, and it's this nice little like.
That bar's cool.
It's a really cool bar.
It is.
You know, it's super divey and super unpretentious. Like no one's gonna. There's no mixology at that
No.
bar, which sometimes is just the ticket. You know,
Yeah.
pour me a
Yep,
beer.
yep.
You know,
Yeah.
it's super fun.
Don't mix things.
Yeah, and there's a
Yeah.
don't mix. There's a tattoo parlor right next door, and all of the tattoo artists come and like have their after work beer with us, which is always turns into. It's a scene. It's fun.
I thought you were going to say, so we all get drunk.
So
and
we
then
all get
always
tattoos.
Tattoo.
You should see the collection of
You
Yeah.
reveal all
It's just
that.
like poop, butt.
Yeah.
Do you think? No, I'm not gonna. I was gonna say, like, would you ever get like a Winnie tattoo? Would you get like?
I
a
don't
Fargo
have.
tattoo?
It's funny. I don't have any tattoos. I've been talking a big game for like a decade
Yeah.
about my tattoo. And like, I mean, when my husband and I we went to Germany for our honeymoon, we were like, we're gonna get tattoos. Didn't happen. Like, it never happens. But that's one thing I talked about in Calgary. I was like, I should get a Fargo tattoo. This
Yeah.
is such an incredible experience. And I bonded so much. I mean, we all became such good friends that like Goran Bogdan, who plays Yuri, we became super good friends.
Yeah.
And we joked about getting like, like how the Lord of the Ring cast got the elvish tattoos, but we never came up with a good idea of what it would be. Like, I thought, well, maybe I should get the Helga tattoo that DJ Qualls had. But then it's like, why do you have to? Who's Helga? And I have to
Right.
talk
You
about
gotta
it. So
talk about
Can
it,
I
yeah.
suggest thank God for KY?
Yes.
No, don't get that.
or just the KY brand.
Yeah, just
Yes.
the KY brand.
Just, yeah.
on my lower back,
In
maybe.
color.
Perfect.
Perfect.
Amazing.
Very Winnie.
Yeah.
That's so great.
And I wanted to ask about how you got into acting in the first place, because I know your dad, Miguel Sandoval, is of course a very prolific actor, but I wanted to hear from you about what that relationship is like as far as how the two of you approach the profession that you now share.
Yeah, it's, this is the family biz. I mean, it didn't, I resisted that for a while. I was like, no, I came up with this idea on my own.
Yeah.
Dad, I would have been.
upright bass too.
No, it's true. Like, I decided I wanted to be an actor when I was very young, and then he was like, and so I spent 10 years trying to think of something else, and it turns out I couldn't really think of anything else other than upright bass, which I just decided to do as well. So, but no, I did for a long time. I was like, I came up with this idea on my own, Dad, because I don't know, but of course, my dad's my hero, and I was completely influenced by him, and he's my best friend. So it's amazing, and he offers me so much mentorship, and I feel so grateful because the last few years have been at times a struggle in this business. It's rough out there, but I never thought that it was going to be anything else than that. So I was fully prepared for that. Not that that made it easier, but it certainly softened it a little bit.
Of course.
And I have a lot of friends, like I went to Cal Arts, and a lot of my friends that went to Cal Arts with me that then graduated and went through this business, calling up their parents, and they're like, "So, are you on TV yet?" And they're like, no, it doesn't work that way. I never had to do that.
Yeah.
They always knew, both my parents are actors actually, and so they always knew exactly, I could have these amazing conversations and actually get advice and comfort from them when things were,
great.
I mean, it's just, I'm so lucky. Amazing.
That's awesome.
By the way, we have been getting in the chat some suggestions for tattoos.
Oh, please.
We have Okay Then.
Classic.
Which is good, but Sleuth Friggin suggests in Mandarin Chinese, which I think Okay Then is fine. Or we also have Kaiser Wilhelm, who's in Germany watching this, by the way. So hi, Kaiser.
Hi.
Has It's a Tragedy.
It's a tragedy.
It's a tragedy.
Maybe
And
we all know Jesus wins in the end.
that's pretty
That's a
Jesus-y.
little.
Right? It's super.
It's well, it would be a bold choice. That's
Yeah.
for sure. It would be a
Just
bold
be-
choice.
We also have the Jeez.
Jeez.
And Anna Bliss, I like this suggestion, the stamp.
That would be cool.
The stamp from this season.
Good
could be
call.
the
Well, I feel like
actual-
that's the tattoo that Ewan should get because he's got lots of cool. He's really cool. He's so much cooler than I am. He's already got tattoos, so I feel like he gets a claim on that one if he wants that one.
Does he have a tattoo for every single movie he does?
I don't think he wouldn't have any skin left if that were the case.
Yeah.
So probably no.
He's got like 3 prequel tattoos. Be great.
I'm thinking like on your knuckles, you betcha.
You betcha.
Oh,
maybe,
yeah.
You could also get like it's a true story based off a true story, but the true is kind of fading.
Fading out.
That's very wow. That's
That's cool.
sort of avant-garde.
That's my idea.
That's good. Also, another good one would be just a putter inner.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one. I like that one.
Great.
Nailed it.
Great. Nailed
Great.
it.
Cool.
Great.
Let's go get tattoos.
Let's all get tattoos after this.
Come to Ireland and we'll get tattoos before and then you can come to the show. It'll be fun.
Perfect.
Louise Friggin says, I feel like a hug from Winnie Lopez could change my life. I hugged her and it
that's
did.
so lovely.
My life has changed. She's the best.
I'm vying for my part on Legion. That's my superpower. Is like the giver of great hugs or something.
You hug them and then people turn real.
And all of a sudden they manifest into physical form.
Yeah, that's right. It feels like you should just jump onto Legion now.
Yeah.
Wouldn't
Just
that
jump
be
on there and
something?
start giving hugs.
I am available. I am available for hire, as it turns out. I am currently in the market. If anyone out there.
We just had
Hey.
a conversation with Eddie Jemison for iZombie, who's a great actor in iZombie, and he was saying he's on Legion as the Greek, and he was just cast because he happened to be seated next to Noah Hawley at like a coffee place in Toronto
That's
at the time when
amazing.
he was shooting iZombie, and then he's like, "Oh, why are you here?" Oh, so if that could happen,
But
I'm just saying.
Noah's so amazing at instinct for actors, though, and I'm not just saying that because he cast me.
Yeah.
But there is something really special about this cast, particularly this year on Fargo, and the fact that we come from literally all over the world, Croatia and England and California, and we're all in different stages in our careers, and we all clicked like we'd known each other our whole lives. And I feel like it's just the freaky genius of Noah Hawley that does that,
It's crazy.
We do have a question from Kaiser Wilhelm, who wondered how hard the Minnesota accent is.
You know what? I'm lucky because I was a sort of strange, nerdy child, and I liked to collect dialects. So I would just decide, I want to learn Irish this month, or I'll do English. And after I saw the film, I thought, that looks like a fun one. And so I learned it just by mimicking the film, Frances McDormand, and then it became my kind of party trick. They would just say, "Hey, do Fargo," that kind of thing.
Wow.
And so when this audition came along, I was like, it's honestly like it's a complete fantasy come true. I mean, if you were to ask me what living or dead, what would be your dream as an actor to do? It's like, I don't know, go back in time and be in Fargo.
Yeah.
And then I kind of got to do that, which is so crazy. I'm still processing that this was
great.
real.
What was the first day you walked onto that set? I mean, what is that like?
I would fully expect to be just crippled with anxiety in a situation like this. Like, that's my MO. But it really felt like coming home. I mean, it was just like that. The first scene that I shot was the scene with Michael Stuhlbarg in the office, and it just was like, this is what I do. This is, and we're all here for a reason. And it was just so natural, and everyone was so lovely. I mean, Michael Leppendahl said to me when he was directing that episode, and he could tell maybe there was a flicker of like, oh, am I really about to do this? And he was just like, you ready to have fun? And I was like, yes, I am. And that set the tone for the whole 3 months that we were up there. It was just fun.
It's great.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
So you talked at the top of the show about this optimism, this brilliant, blazing kernel of optimism at the center of Winnie. But I want to know, like, was there a moment where for you really felt like, oh, I know exactly who this person is, like this is my part, I got it? Was there a moment like that for you? And if so, what was that moment?
It was the very first moment that I read my audition scene. I had such a laser sharp instinct for who this character was, to the point where I have to make a confession. I had not seen the show Fargo when I went in for the audition. I had been on my parents are like the biggest fans ever, and they were like bugging me for forever to watch the show. And I was like, yeah, I'll watch it. You know, obviously big fan of the film. And then I got the audition, and I thought, normally what I would do when I have an audition for a show that I haven't seen is I watch as much as I can, because you want to get a sense of the tone. But I thought, it's a different story every season. It's different characters. I don't want to watch it and then feel like I need to change try to match something else that I'd seen. And I decided, why don't I try an experiment where I just go in 100% with my own take and see what happens.
Right.
Kind of wish I had done that earlier, to be honest, because it worked. But yeah, no, I fell in love with Winnie at first sight, and I really was excited just to go in for the 10 minutes of the audition and just play that scene. It just felt like an honor to just play that scene, even in a casting office.
Yeah, that's actually a big advice. I think I saw an interview with Philip Seymour Hoffman where he talked about advice to actors who go into auditions is just treat that audition as the time you get to play.
You have that part for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
That's how I learned to think of it. Because if you go in with that mindset of like, am I good enough for you?
Right.
That's all you see in the audition is someone who's insecure. So you have to just convince, and it's hard to do that because there's a lot of ups and downs. You have to like convince yourself that you're meant to be there, and then you have to let it go immediately. Right. And there's an art to that you only learn by doing it over and over and over and over again. And if you can get through that misery, it really is. It's really true. Just be yourself is really true. It's a cliche, but it works.
Yeah. And you could tell from just who you are that you're perfect for the part, because you're very warm, you're talkative, and you're very. It feels like if you're casting for that part who has to be there for Gloria and help her kind of settle into reality, you seem like a good choice for that. So they made the right choice.
Absolutely.
Bingo.
Heck.
As you can tell from the show itself. So why am I even saying it? Okay.
So we are about to bring our show in for a landing, but I wanted to really quickly get a quick round of predictions in because we only have one episode left.
And now, your AfterBuzz TV
Predictions.
So, Olivia, what do you think will happen in
fair.
the season finale?
No, you don't
No
have to
spoilers.
say anything.
No, of course.
And we can't look at you as we make our predictions.
It will be cold.
Ooh.
That's not exciting
oh
news.
my
It's
God,
just
what
that-
does cold mean?
It's just
Oh
because
God.
it's just because it's Fargo. It's
She
not.
said-
No, we're really
don't
shaking up the formula.
Olivia said cold.
People in the chat are like, what is that?
Yeah.
Well, one thing that I noticed in the next week on, I don't know if you guys got to see
I
the
don't
next week
watch
on.
those.
Well, at one point we see Emmett say to we don't know who, oh, you're working for Varga. And I think that's going to be the Widow Goldfarb.
Yes.
I think he's going to say it to her, is my big prediction for next week.
See? So she's going to be at the top.
Yeah.
Also, I still think that the coconut cream pie with the chocolate flakes is going to happen at some point in that episode because, yes, it has to.
I hope so.
No, I'm not.
so.
I'm going to do this.
I
so
just
that
like
she
pie.
doesn't.
I always hope there's pie.
Yeah, right? I mean, who doesn't, man?
I mean, we already had that Twin Peaks crossover. Might as well get some
Yes.
pie.
Yeah.
And some coffee in there too.
Pie all day.
Pie, coffee,
all night.
Goldfarb is going to
coffee,
be at the
Goldfarb.
top of the chain, and there's going to be pie.
I would be real surprised if Varga survives next episode. I feel like he's gonna get killed somehow.
How does that guy grapple with now being seen?
Yeah, the fact that he's being seen, and I feel like maybe he might be destroyed in a way that totally sees him and will emphasize
Yeah.
the fact that he's being seen.
He might eat himself to death.
Oh God.
I'm just saying, it's a
All that-
Fargo
all that
thing to
ice
do,
cream.
y'all. Ooh, rough.
He eats the
Rocky
pie.
road to death.
He eats the coconut pie.
Because he really needs
Poison
it.
coconut pie. It's his grandmother's recipe.
Ooh, maybe somebody flips that on him and poisons him with his own grandma's stuff.
Hashtag
Yeah, I
poison
know.
pie.
They're
So,
like,
all right.
we gotta
Get it out of
I
here.
predict we're going to be right here next week at the same time to talk about the season finale. Olivia Sandoval, thank you so much for
Thank
being
you so
here.
much for having me. It was a blast.
And one more time, where can people check out your band?
Oh yeah, we are on the Facebook Whiskey Sunday band. There's another Whiskey Sunday that does something else. Ignore them. Whiskey Sunday band. We have a website. We play all over the place. Twitter, Instagram, Whiskey Sunday. Just look us up.
Great. And where can people find you online?
I'm Twitter Jess Sando here, and Instagram at Livy Sandy.
Sandy, I love it. And my fellow panelists that are here with me every week, where can the good people listening find you guys online?
Yes, guys. Go find me, youtube.com/Tara Erickson, on Twitter at Tara Erickson, at Tara Erickson on Instagram.
You can find me at mrdavecild or davechild.com because my name is Dave Child.
Woo.
And I am all over social media at the Lex Michael. Thank you guys for tuning in and joining us to talk about Fargo. We love this show. We love you. Join us for the season finale next week. There's going to be a lot to talk about. We love you. Mwah.
Bye.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Thank God for KY.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.